Greetings, Starfighter. You have been recruited by the Star League to defend the frontier against Xur and the Kodan Armada. Man, those magic words changed me up as a kid and really still does to this day. That's right, friends. This week we'll be reviewing The Last Starfighter. I have to tell you, this is one of those movies that changed my childhood. It was summer 1984. I was about 6.5 years old when the movie was released in July. My neighborhood buddies and I we were pretty taken with this movie, and we had all been like Star Wars movied out. That had been released just about a year before the last Star Wars had. At that point in time, the last Star Wars Jedi. But there was just something different about this movie, about The Last Starfighter. It wasn't a long time, from a galaxy far, far away. It wasn't lightsabers and everything like that. It was here and now in 1984, and it was in a crappy little trailer park. It was a kid that was nobody. As far as I know, I have no clue who Alex's father was, and Alex has no special powers other than being really good at a video game. So, All right. Well, how you doing this week, Beth?
I'm doing all right. A little worn out, a little tired. How are you?
You're always a little tired. I'm doing
I
all right.
work a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Making that money.
Right.
How are you?
I'm doing all right. Just trying to hang in there. So this movie, it really reached me because it was based off the video games like it was. That was my bread and butter as a kid.
So this was a real arcade game, right?
No.
Okay.
No, we'll talk about that a little bit later. This is pretty interesting. As a kid, we had ColecoVision, we had a Commodore 64, we had an Atari. Of course, they'd all be replaced by the Nintendo soon. That was like the future at that point in time.
Right.
We still went to the arcade at this point, at a place called the Sunshine Mall at the time down in Florida where I grew up. It had better games with better graphics. That existed on the machines that were in the arcade. And it was just the experience of itself of being in the arcade. That really, it was a whole, it wasn't just hanging out playing video games. Like, you went somewhere, it cost quarters. Yeah, sure. But there was usually always somebody there that was playing a game that might like throw you a bone or something like that. And holy cow, if I got to go to Chuck E. Cheese, look out. That place was like heaven to me as far as I was concerned. It's a lot different than it was now. At that point in time, it was like just straight up arcades. It is now, but now it seems more about the tickets and this, that, and the other. They had that back then. I
was going to say, that's kind of what my arcade was. I didn't get to grow up and go out and be like, oh, can I go down to the arcade with my friends, spend a bunch of money real fast and play whatever. I never got to experience that. My arcade experience was Chuck E. Cheese, and that was after all that, the tickets and everything. So I got like $10 and that was it.
Right.
And I spent it all on the Bumblebee game. You had to catch the little bumblebees.
I know that.
And I was terrible at it.
The little net.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we used to hop on our bikes, ride down the road, go down there, maybe have like $2 or $3 and go down in the arcade. One thing, again, this was in Florida and this was during the summer usually, and it was like 150 degrees outside. You would go in here and it was AC and it was dark.
Oh.
And it was fun and it was noisy and it was exciting and there was always somebody doing something. And even if kind of like what when we get into the story, when they watch Alex, beating the high score and stuff like that, that stuff was going on. Like there would be people who were sitting there like on levels of video games that we never saw before, like Pac-Man level 100 or something like that. And you're just like, that's just crazy watching these people figure out the algorithms of the game and beating these games.
What was it? Like up, down, left, right?
That's Contra.
But still,
yes, that is. Have you ever used that code? Have you ever played that game?
I try occasionally on some games. I'll be like, maybe this works, and nothing happens.
That's very cool. Back to The Last Starfighter, though. Beth, do you have a movie or movies that you feel changed something about you in the way of how you played or related to other people? Like, can you think of anything like that? Like The Last Starfighter, like, we used to pretend, like, we would be on our bikes and we would pretend that we were in, the spaceship of. I mean, like I said, we were playing Star. Yeah, you want to play Star Wars, and we would play Star Wars and things like that. We played Last Starfighter, like we battled Xur, we did this and stuff like that. Did you have any movies or any games that you think did that for you when you were younger?
Zombie games for sure did, because we would sit. My friend and I would sit on her trampoline, and we'd be like, okay, what if we imagine that everyone around us suddenly is affected and is a zombie, and we woke like we fell asleep on the trampoline and woke up and everyone's dead or something, and then we were like, okay, now everyone's coming after us and we have to defend ourselves, stuff like that. Yes, but I mean, not. I mean, I didn't watch a ton of movies growing up. I still really don't. Movies don't, because again, I'm a person who likes to move around, so movies don't really do it for me in that sense. I'm someone who pauses the movie and comes back to it a week later.
Jeez.
But I mean, Disney movies, like princess movies, I mean, like me and Tabby playing around with that kind of stuff. But we had a lot of toys. We did more toy stuff where we would imagine that our toys were in that situation, not us per se.
I got you.
So
I got you.
Maybe not.
Do you feel that video games have impacted movies and life today? Like, how do you feel about that? Like,
oh, definitely. I mean, the movies that get made off of games, I mean, those movies do really well because people go to see it to see how they did from the game. Same things, I mean, like books. Books get turned into movies. People will see the movies because they've read the books. So it's more of a, I mean, there's a big impact there. Yeah,
I think it's this summer, and I don't know how it's going to happen with the whole COVID-19 thing, but there was a Ryan Reynolds movie coming out. Free Guy, I think is what it's called.
We saw the trailer. When we went to go watch the Star Wars movie. Yeah,
and it looks really good.
I like games like that. Yeah,
it looks like he's almost in like a GTA life.
Yeah.
And gets freed up in some way.
I really like movies like that. The ones that like, or in that sense, I'm trying to think of the name of the one. It's based off a book, but I want to say it's Ready Player One or something.
Ready Player One.
Yeah, is that the where the kid is in the? It's like way in the future. It's a beat holding.
And it's like virtual reality.
And all the cool little Easter eggs that are in the movie where you're like watching it and there's stuff in the background. And you're like, oh, that's, Freddy from the whatever.
Nightmare.
Yeah. I wanted to say Friday the 13th, but
that's Jason.
Jason. I mean, I think he was in it too. But I mean, still, stuff like that's really cool to me.
I gotcha.
So.
Very cool, man. So The Last Starfighter was released in 1984 and was considered a space opera, which is weird.
Space opera?
I guess that's what Star Wars is too, then?
Opera? Isn't that singing?
That's what I thought too. So whatever that means. It was directed by Nick Castle. It's the story of Alex Rogan, played by Lance Guest, who is recruited by an alien defense to defend and fight an interstellar war, basically. I'm going to go ahead and list out. The movie also stars Robert Preston, Dan O'Harley, Catherine Mary Stewart, Norman Snow, and K.E. Cutter. There are obviously other actors, but these are the mains that I'm going to go ahead and mention in the episode. The Last Starfighter is one of the earliest films to use CGI to depict many of its starships, the battle scenes, and the environment.
I think it did a really good job.
I think so
CGI.
too.
It was really good.
Another movie that is similar to did this was Tron. Which I did you see Tron Legacy?
Oh man, I can't tell. I don't know. Is that I've seen like a part of one or.
So you've probably seen the original.
Maybe, I don't know. Tron.
Tron was another one of those ones that we played.
I played Tron.
You had well, I'm talking about we actually like played. Now Tron, where the video game was supposed to come out for The Last Starfighter, Tron did have a video game that came out with it, and the video game actually did better and made people like the movie more. Somebody on another podcast had been talking about that and how it was how it drove up interest in the movie, because at that point in time, video games and everything were still kind of new, was still really limited, and like it's not like it is now where everybody has a console in their house, 4 consoles in their house. It was more where you had to go to the arcade to play video games, and that was not everybody's thing. Again, I remember going to Pizza Hut, and you could sit at they had a little desktop Pac-Man. You would sit and you look down, and it was actually like a table, and you could play with somebody else.
I've seen pictures of those. Yeah.
In museums. Oh. For all the old people.
I mean, that's the thing, like, that's a part of my life that I won't ever get to experience. I won't get that feeling. And I mean, in that sense, she might be the old person in me, but I really wanted to experience that as a kid, going out, running around, being stupid, and playing video games.
Right.
I mean, we really didn't too.
Well, it was sad because, like, when we went to the arcade, you know, it's always like, you know, one in the hand, two in the bush type deal. Where when we were kids, it was always like, man, I wish we could have this at the house so we
Right.
didn't have to leave. And then when you had multiplayer games, it'd be like, man, I wish that we could, you know, you could be at your house, I could be at my house, and we could play this like this. And now we have all of that. And I think there's a little bit of, not mystery, but essence, maybe I guess you could say that's lost on that.
Yeah.
It's much easier to just, you know, be in your house and be this, be that, and not be able to have that camaraderie of being a dirty, smarmy little child that goes to an arcade.
I mean, nowadays they
stinking like eggs.
There's also eggs. You can tell which kids do it to the most.
It was me.
Yeah. You still have the eggs lingerings on you.
Yes.
Nowadays they have on certain consoles, like I know on the Switch, there's where you can download and get older games, like old versions of games.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's kind of like, oh, I mean, they revamp some games or they redo them, but there's still a part of that that's lost. Experience it for the first time, like going back and rewatching old movies versus the newer movies. Like when they come out, like movies that came out when I was like 6, I'm watching again back. It's like, oh man, this is terrible compared to what's new. Same thing with video games. You know, going back and playing old video games. It's like, this looks terrible. Like Tabby and I played Left 4 Dead the other night, and I was like, oh my gosh, these are the graphics. Like, This is the best thing to me when I was little. I mean, now it's terrible.
And see, for me, I love that game.
I love that game.
And I do get what you're saying about the graphics. Like, it gets washed out some.
Yeah.
It all looks like Hard Rain.
Yeah.
that level, the hardest level ever, Hard Rain, where you're just blind running.
Yeah. Getting yelled at too by the siblings, being like, "Where are you? What are you doing?
Come this way!"
I'm just shooting people and throwing Molotovs down.
For anybody who's never played the Left 4 Dead series, it's a 4-player multiplayer game that was on. I guess I don't know if it was on PlayStation. I know it was on Xbox.
It was on Xbox, yeah.
But man, it was one of. You had to really work together, otherwise somebody would die. And lo and behold, there'd be always somebody who would run off and get to the end and sit in the stupid safe room.
Yeah, and close it on the other ones trying to get in. Yeah,
exactly.
Well, how really like what that game? Not to digress, but we had the one console, so we would split screen it. So either one of us were just looking on and being like, "Oh, I wish I could play," because we didn't want to 3 screen it,
right?
Because then someone's on jackery. So one person gets left out and waits for the other person to die or the next round, and then we trade off, and somebody's unhappy. And I guess that goes into like kind of arcadey feel because someone has to play and the people have to watch. So it's kind of like, and then you trade out.
Right. Well, there were games. There was a Marvel game at one point in time that was like you would go to the arcade and it had 4 joysticks, 4 sets of buttons, 4 everything like that. Like so you could have like multiple players playing at the same time. And there was also a game called Gauntlet, which was one of my favorite games as a kid. And Blue Elf shot the potion. Blue Elf, you're killing Yellow Wizard. I mean, it was just because you could shoot. It's not like where you could just shoot and it didn't hurt the other people. It hurt the other people, so you had to be careful.
No, I'm not careful.
Was mad multiplayer, and it was new. That was fun and exciting that you had multiple people playing these video game at the same time. And, now that's the standard, MMO, RPG, online, and everything like that. And,
yeah, I'm the player you don't want on your shooting team. I'm the one who throws Molotovs down right in front of you and burns you up. That message where it's like, don't hit other teammates. That stayed on my screen the entire game. I'm trying to hit the zombies. I don't know.
They're around you. Psh, yes, and you know what? I played with you and I remember that.
Yeah.
All right. So how does Last Starfighter begin, as we always like to say?
The trailer?
The trailer, yes. I did it again.
The trailer. Well, first impression, I had a good first impression because to me it seemed like a mix between Star Wars and kind of Back to the Future-esque.
Okay.
I got that feeling from the trailer, but the trailer was kind of lame in a sense because, I mean, they introduced you to Alex and he's like sitting in his room and there's like a 30-second like thing where he's just like spinning around and it's like his his like solar system thing that hangs from the wall.
Yep.
He was just like staring at it and running for like 30 seconds. They're like, Alex wants to go to space. And it's like, great.
Cool. You know what? And I don't want to jump too far ahead, but it never really says he wants to go to space. Like, that scene is in the movie, and he's looking there, and you kind of make the assumption, because you know Starfighter, and because he has the, what do they call that thing? Not a
mobile?
A mobile, yes.
A mobile.
He's got that mobile. I mean, it's basically what it is.
Yeah. Of
the solar system with a little rocket and everything like that, and you're kind of like, okay, I guess he wants to be...
something. He doesn't want to go to city college. That's all I know. He does not want to go to city college.
He does not want to go anywhere local.
But yeah, I mean, the trailer was showing him. He looked like he was 17, but also 45 at the same time. And I was like, how old is this person supposed to be? And I mean, it didn't look that great. And in part of the trailer, it shows the end scene of the movie where he gets home safe. He's seeing Maggie again. So I was like, okay, well, obviously everything ends up fine, clearly.
Right.
So thanks, trailer, for spoiling the movie. I thought Maggie kind of looked like Emma Watson.
She does have a bit of an Emma Watson face. I
kept thinking that throughout the movie. I was like, you guys are kind of similar.
She's from another movie, I believe, called Night of the Comet, which is a really good movie. You've seen some of it. You probably don't remember, but I've showed you scenes from that movie. But I also thought she was the girl from Footloose for some reason at some point in time when I was a kid, and clearly not. And I know that now, and I knew that, a while ago, but when I was growing up, I thought they were the same girl. Not that that's important, but it's just not the same girl at all.
Never seen Footloose either. Oh, yeah. You didn't know that.
What? I thought you...
I've never seen that movie.
Oh, my gosh. We're going to have to stop the podcast. Sorry, everybody. We're going to go ahead and wrap this on everything, and we're stopping doing the podcast because Beth has never seen Footloose.
I hear the theme song all the time.
I know, and what do you do when Footloose comes on the radio? You have to break it down. That's the rules. That's the rules. You have to.
Same thing with Grease. I've never seen Grease either.
That's okay. I mean, Grease and Grease 2. Wait, we are way off topic. All right. So, sorry, everybody.
Intro to the movie.
Yeah, so we open on the credits scrolling through space. It's kind of a mix between Star Wars and Superman. The original Superman, the movie, that's kind of how the credits did, except instead of coming at you, they go in reverse. So, they didn't take too long, but it's definitely wanting to show you space via the graphics. Like they use. I'm sure that they spent a good amount of the budget on the intro because they're using their CGI type graphics to bring you through space from all the way over from whatever that from. I can't think of the name of this planet. From there to Rylan, to Earth. We eventually reach Earth and are dropped into a trailer park that I guess is called Starlight Starbright. It gives the feel of being just another day as everyone comes out in the style of the beginning of the Beauty and Beast song when Belle walks through the town and she's being introduced to all the side players and what life is like. Exactly. Yeah. That's like I'm watching and I mean, literally a lady hangs her head out of the window and yells at the power being out.
Everyone's yelling about the power being out.
And they telephone from person to person to get it fixed. So I was watching it and I was like, when she popped out of her window, like the cat comes out of the mailbox.
I like that the cat was in the mailbox.
The alarm goes off at 8:00 and everybody wakes up at the same time and like life gets to moving. And I was like, bonjour, 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 like that. Yeah. And they show Maggie walking through the thing and I'm just like, man, this is just like Beauty and the Beast. I don't know why I have that feeling. That's just how I felt with it. So I thought it was important to say. Maggie runs into Mrs. Rogan, Alex's mom, while looking for Alex. But he's like, oh, you know where he's at? Alex is up playing Starfighter. And looks to be quite good at it. So Maggie finds him at about the same time that a truck full of their friends pulls up. And
I thought it was kind of funny that the arcade game itself didn't really look worn. It looked like it had just been placed there or something. It didn't really have that worn out aspects of like typical
right.
Decay.
Right. And we're going to talk about that because I watching it again, I caught some stuff, and then listening to some of the dialogue, I was like, oh, okay. So Alex does run off to join him, and he talks about how he's meant for more than this like menial life of where he lives. Like he's better. He doesn't. I'm not going to sit around and watch a wax your pickup truck and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, they're giving him hell about it, but he clearly is not meant for being there. He was about to go to the lake with him, but his mother yells at him that Elvira's power is out and that she needs him to fix it. That's not good news for him because it's going to take all day to fix, but his mother insists. So he tells Maggie, go ahead and go with the gang. And they go to the lake and
they drive down
Alex.
The middle of the road.
They sure do. You can tell that Alex has big dreams.
And a big forehead.
And a big forehead. And that they may be space related as he daydreams. Like we were saying, he's kind of spinning in his chair, looking up at his mobile, kind of like, there was a movie based on space camp, and the little girl at the beginning goes, one day I'm going up there, I am. And like, that's kind of like, that ran through my head when I was looking at space. I was like, okay, I guess you're going to space. He later returns to the Starfighter game to play, and it looks to be his only release from his crappy life. Like, this is his one thing. While he's playing, he complains to Otis about not having a good time, but Otis tells him that he will get his chance, and that when he does, he has to grab it with both hands. Maggie returns home. Alex continues to play the game. He isn't thrilled that Jack Blake, whoever Jack Blake is, brought her home. But they basically make up.
Because he lives on the other side of town.
Right. He's like, oh, it was on his way. He's like, he lives on the other side of town. It wasn't on his way.
No.
But, she's clearly into him, and she tells him this. She's like, you chin up, bro.
It's a match made in the trailer park.
Ugh. Maggie notices that Alex is looking to break the record score on the Starfighter game, and like the entire park comes up to watch.
I thought that was so weird. I was like, there must be nothing ever going on up at this place.
Exactly. That's what it really exemplifies how lame life is here in the trailer park. Yeah. I'm like, hey, Alex is going to break the high score. And like, what's going on, Otis? And like, Elvira and everybody else come running up to see.
Even Granny
is up there to watch him. Alex concentrates, takes his shot, and defeats the game. And everybody breaks out in the celebration. So what are your thoughts so far on that?
I mean, the acting so far is kind of subpar.
Oh.
It was kind of, I don't know, Alex, his emotions throughout the entire movie where he was like a robot. Like even Beta Alex had more than he did. I mean, he just didn't really express well. I mean, he gets put up into space and is all like, I gotta go home. I can't be here. He's not freaking out that he's in space. Or that the car that pulls up, he just gets in the car with the dude. I don't know.
Maybe he had Burger King. That's all it takes for you.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think so far it's pretty interesting. I was pretty still engaged with it.
Still engaged? Still about it? All right. So later that night, the celebration is over. Everybody's still, kind of congratulating Alex. Alex and Maggie are sitting together. They get into a discussion about how Alex is leaving at some point and that Maggie is afraid to go with him. He's like, what about Granny? Alex says it's the forever... it's them forever. It's you and me forever, and kisses Maggie. And this part, his mom comes home and gives this extremely dissatisfied face when she sees them kissing. And I want to hope that her face is because she knows about the letter because she opened it. Letter. But I was like you can read her mind about what she thinks of Maggie deep down. Like, that's how I took it. Like, she's
really?
Like, oh, here he is with this. I mean, I hate to say it, trailer trash. I mean, but that's literally how she looked at them. I feel like
it was more of a sad thing because you're like, oh, look at them thinking they're gonna go places in life. He's gonna go to City College,
right?
But I don't know. I thought it was funny that it scans to Lewis and he's all like diarrhea, right? He sees them kissing that. I was laughing so hard.
Lewis definitely has his perks, man. I didn't really hit on a whole bunch of them, but he always has little things.
Any
that
of the
he'd say or
frames he
do
was in, it was funny.
It was funny. Agreed. Alex gets a letter about his student loan application, and it's rejected. So you're all like, oh, posh. So he runs off in disappointment and hears the Starfighter game freaking out. He starts to check it out, and he's approached by a car that looks like a souped up DeLorean.
Yeah, see, that's where I got the vibes from Back to the Future from. Like
Right.
the car.
Right, because it looks...
And also Centauri himself.
I get that. A little old man in
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. A man comes asking about who broke the record and where he can find him. So Alex introduces himself as the person that broke it, and the man introduces himself as Centauri.
This was where my favorite line from the movie comes from, because he goes, "I'm not here for cigarettes or bubblegum, my boy."
I like that. He explains that he invented the game and that they have to discuss a matter of utmost importance. He also shakes hands with Beta, Alex does, and a spark and shock like happen, and Beta gets out of the car.
Yeah, at this point is where I was kind of like, has no one ever taught anybody of stranger danger? You're just gonna get right up into the car?
Right.
I mean, and then you're touching strangers? I mean...
Right. He's like,
I
here's
don't
my
know.
friend. Centauri congratulates Alex on his performance with the Starfighter game. And then Centauri takes off in the car
And
at like top speeds.
Yeah,
Talking about how the game wasn't supposed to even be there.
300 something speeds, I believe, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So he says it must have been fate.
Right, because it's supposed to go to Vegas. Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yep. And like you said, it's great because Centauri goes about 300 miles per hour on the road. It's a 35-mile-an-hour road. So Alex is like, oh, look out. And the car transforms into a space car and takes off into the sky. This is where I would have pooed.
I definitely would have had something coming out of me.
I'm already in, that happens so fast. It's like, oh, I'm looking for this. Oh, I have to talk to you. Get in my office. And he's like, all right, no problem. I'll get in here.
I think when he
I've got
started
nothing else going
driving
on.
is when I would have started pooing.
I mean, 300 miles per hour is...
And it doesn't even look like a normal... I mean, the inside was completely just janked out, too. So it's kind of like, this is not normal.
Yep.
But Alex has no problem with it, and his expressions are still bland.
Right, he's still very blank. The computer graphics for this time were phenomenal, in my opinion. I mean, the taking off, the car transforming and all of that kind of stuff, that was brand new. That was state of the art.
Yeah.
And then Centauri took off his face.
Then he took off his face. And that's the part I don't really understand, because I get that he's an alien underneath, but, like, he immediately puts it back on. It was just, like as if it was just for show. Like, look what we can do in this movie. CGI, haha. And then put it back on the face. And I was like, okay, I suppose.
Did you like how he had the eyes out and he was, like, shining the eyes off?
I I found it charming. I just didn't understand why it was necessary.
Right. He shifts the star car or the space car into star overdrive to reach the Starfighter base on another world. The car door opens and Centauri just dips. He's Alex like, let me out. Alex's car door opens and a woman with an odd hairstyle is there speaking in an alien language, motioning for Alex to come out of the car.
I thought that was funny because it was like in typical movies how they do that, where they start with the bottom of the lady's feet and work their way up, and it's like, oh, she's a nice body, and then it hit her face and it was like, oh, you're ugly.
Well, she was bald.
Yeah.
Like she had,
well, not just bald, but like
right.
She had like the hair on the sides only,
right.
like kind of like clowns do.
She had like the dome head.
Yeah. Yes.
That's what you want to say. So she tells Alex, come on out, and he does. He follows her. Like to a conveyor belt hallway where he receives his uniform. And then Centauri kind of meets back up with him for a second. Tells him that he's on Rylos, just like in the game.
I thought the whole, like, when they're flying into the command base,
yeah,
I thought it looked, I mean, you can tell it's all very animated, of course.
Yes.
But it looked like when you open up an animation software and you get the models for it, like, oh, here's a car model. And it looked like they did nothing to the model and just used it. Like, just the bland, like, shapes.
Oh.
They just started moving the models around and didn't, like, add any other detail to it. It was like, that's just what it is. And I was like, oh.
Bland.
Bland.
Like Alex.
Yeah, like Alex.
Oh, man. I liked how it had the conveyor, like, one uniform, one this, one that. Like, I thought more was going to happen, and I don't know if it did happen more on the conveyor belt, because he kind of goes on the conveyor belt, gets his uniform, then comes out the other end, and they see him there. But I was hoping more would happen, like get deloused and like sprayed with something, and like
get the earth germs off of him.
Yeah,
because they never, they'd never been to Earth before. He was someone that they talk about that later,
right?
Maybe he had some disease and like infected everybody.
He could have.
You never know. I liked that in the background you can see Centauri like fighting for money,
right?
And it's like I like that was a part of it, like a little layer to it, like he was in debt to other people because he made the games,
right?
I thought that was funny.
Yep, Centauri tells him to have fun. He says, "Have fun, Alex." And he continues on down the conveyor belt.
Still blank faced, not even worried.
Right. Right. This is all happening, but I'm just going with it.
Yeah.
We cut back to Alex's room on Earth, and the next morning, we find Maggie has come to try and comfort Alex about not getting the loan, but the Bayonet unit stays under the blanket.
And Lewis is just going through his Playboys.
Yeah, and Lewis is like, he was up on like grunting.
Yeah.
After she leaves, he pulls down the blanket to reveal himself, and I gotta say, he's grotesque.
Worst. It was the worst thing I think we've seen in all the movies so far. He looked like a blob of flesh with eyeballs.
He's breathing like a pufferfish.
Yeah, he did look like a pufferfish.
His skin is all slimy.
Yeah, it was disgusting. Gross. It was horrible.
It's like, and like every time he took a breath, his skin would suck in all around his whole entire face, and then puff back out, and then.
But I mean, that was really cool, though.
I truly agree with that. We cut back to Rylos, the planet Rylos, and we see Alex is now in the main hall of the station. He finds there's an armada of Gunstar ships. That's what they're called, starships. Gunstars. I'm going to mess that up too many times.
Yeah.
It's a Gunstar is the name of the starship. There's a whole hangar bay full of them. And he's like, oh, I must be dreaming. So he's just so chill with it.
Yeah.
The lady with the weird hair puts a translator on his shirt collar, and then he's able to hear everyone in English now.
I liked that she put it on the underneath of the shirt collar, because you don't see the underneath of the collar again. So maybe that was on purpose, so they didn't have to have that in every scene. Like maybe it kept falling off or something.
Yeah, and I get that. I like that too. Yeah. My only wish was I wish they would have like put it on his neck.
Yeah.
Or behind his ear, like in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. They put a Babel fish in the ear, and you're able to understand all different alien races because of the Babel fish.
Yeah.
Which I like, because then it's in your ear, so you don't Babel fish. You have to look that up. You don't have to worry about seeing it anymore.
Right.
But you can understand everybody. He has that shirt on, but then I guess it's also already pre-programmed into the Starfighter outfit.
Yeah.
Because
that would make sense.
I guess. Because later he doesn't have that shirt on.
Yeah. My only question is that if he went back to Earth with that thing on, could he understand other races?
Oh, like little squirrels and stuff? Like, we're gonna get them tonight.
Well, no. Maybe people. Maybe the squirrels.
Oh, you mean like other nations and such?
Yeah, that's what I meant by races, not squirrels trying to eat you. Yeah, I thought the scene was kind of interesting. To move on, because he goes and he is sort of introduced to the other people who want it, and I thought that was kind of Green Lantern-esque, because when he goes, he has the ring, and then everyone else also has the ring. But they're from different planets, and they were all different type people. So I thought that was kind of like that.
Yeah, I like that they told him, they said, hurry up, get changed, and join the other recruits, which he doesn't do.
No.
He doesn't get changed, which I guess, was he supposed to just like stand there in the hallway and get changed?
Maybe they wanted to observe him. I don't know. He's Earthling. Maybe
I guess.
I thought this scene was actually, like, if you pay attention to the chairs, there's a seat empty.
Huh.
So there's like a seat in the front that's just empty the entire time.
Interesting.
Yeah, because he goes and takes a seat in the back, and then there's one more that's not full, and they don't talk about it. But I thought that maybe That was for Grig?
Well, Grig isn't a starfighter.
Yeah, so
Grig
I don't,
is
that's
navigation.
That's why I was kind of like, no, but that's just my thought on it.
I gotcha.
But, yeah.
Well, during this time, the ambassador arrives to address the Starfleet about the frontier and how it is peaceful. But he warns that the frontier is in danger as there was a dark betrayal, and now the Kodan are pitted to attack and destroy the peace. He says that the only few starfighters stand between that dark fate. Now, this is what got me. These were all starfighter recruits. Are there not already original starfighters? Like,
I thought they said something about how they died.
They
Not that the ones...
like they had already been fighting and died?
Yeah.
Maybe I missed that part, but I was just like, these are all brand new recruits, and this is all the starfighters that they've got?
Yeah, to me, I thought that maybe, like, Alex is sitting there, and he's waiting for any moment people to pop out of the bushes and be like, haha, surprise! This is all a joke!
Right.
And so it's kind of... Because, I mean, to me, that's kind of like... When you load up a video game, and it's like, here you are, here are your other people that you're with, you only have one shot, now go! Have you ever seen Wreck-It Ralph?
Yes.
There's a scene where he goes into the different video games and he's with the other people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the really violent one. And that's it's kind of like that, where you're not the main player, you have the person talking to the main player, but the thing going around, it's like, okay, here's what your objective is. Here's the people you're fighting with that are computers, but
I got you.
And then you're like, now here's your goal, go get it. That's what it seemed like to me. That Alex was being introduced to the whole scene, brand new. So it wasn't necessarily about like, oh, there's other people here.
Right.
It just seemed...
I guess the assumption is that his training was the video game. So if you know how to do the video game, you should know how to fly their spaceship.
Right. Yeah.
And they start chanting victory or death, which clearly this freaked out Alex. Alex runs off. He runs into Grig, a Star Navigator. It's not his at that point in time. Alex explains to Grig how he ended up there and that it's all a big mistake. Like, he's not down with this.
Yeah, finally he's kind of freaking out.
Grig explains that being a starfighter is a great honor and that Centauri should not have recruited from Earth as it's not thought to be ready yet.
Yeah.
I liked that.
It needs to mature, is I think what he said. Yeah.
Right. I like that it's not like there's a whole bunch of other... That explains why he's the only Earthling there, and and why we haven't seen this before and everything like that. I kind of like that.
Yeah, I think that kind of the thing about like the Earth isn't ready yet made me think of that one episode from South Park, I think, where the aliens come down and they give something to the people, and then the people start freaking out about it, and then the aliens are like, well, this is why we haven't touched with you yet, we'll come back in a couple years,
South Park, huh?
I think so. I think it's one of the really, like, the earlier episodes, and not the Taco Bell episodes now, they're controlling the Taco Bell, but that, I mean, that's been, I've heard that before, where they're like, when they come to Earth, and they see that people aren't ready for their technology, or are selfish still, so they leave.
Not to jump into another series type thing, but Star Trek, not Star Wars, but Star Trek. That's a long viewing, I would have to say, to be able to catch up on all Star Treks. I'm not even going to try and get you to do that. But Star Trek First Contact is where the Generations cast goes back in time to ensure that humans... amongst other things, that Zefram Cochrane goes and he does his warp drive, and what that does is the Vulcans see that signature, and that's why they finally come to Earth and get us into the Starfleet and the Federation and all of that kind of stuff. Until then, we're thought to be too primitive. Right. So it's kind of jumping other movie genres as well, of saying, that's why Earth isn't contacted by aliens as of yet, because we're just still too primitive. Go figure.
Yeah.
Grig gives Centauri hell about recruiting from a planet outside of the Star League. Centauri defends his decision and says he used a video game, not the Excalibur program.
I think that's just to show that there's another training program thing that the other people went through, because he said that he made the video games and that was his way of trying to find the right one, and he's got the gift,
Right.
you know. So I think the Excalibur program was just like something else,
Something different.
where maybe those people were put through the hard training and learning how to fly the ships and stuff, you know.
Yeah, Centauri attempts to convince Alex to stay. While he's doing so, Zur shows up as a giant hologram head and confronts his father, the ambassador, about how the frontier is growing weak and how they are all going to attack.
And that he found the master spy.
Yeah,
And then shows the master spy dying a horrible death.
Yep.
Just absolutely horrible. R.I.P. Master Spy.
Yes, the ambassador calls him a child, and he says, "Oh, a child can do this," and they show a pretty graphic video of a spy being melted with some sort of death ray. He's, ah!
Yeah.
Alex sees this and looks even more nope face. He's like, nope, about the whole situation. And then Centauri says, it's not dangerous. It's all good. See, you're having a great time. And then after that scene, the next scene is Centauri taking Alex back home.
Yep.
So, what are your thoughts so far?
On
character development and everything like that. What do you think? Did it leave you wanting more?
I really liked this scene because, I mean, it kind of gave me kind of like Beetlejuice vibes, where you have the stuff going on in the background, like the conveyor belt, and like when he's first coming through and the lights are going off.
Right.
I mean, it was very visually, it was like, okay, I'm looking, I'm watching, paying attention. And then you have the different aliens, you're kind of like, oh, cool. I really liked it.
I like how the guy was paying him the money, the different kind, but whatever the money was, whatever that is, he was like, I got this guy, I got the Starfighter, give me my money.
it gave me the Star Wars vibes, where like they go into that bar or such, and you get the different you know that going on. You know what I'm talking about?
Do you know what the name of that bar is? I don't even want to tell you what that name of that bar is. I'm not telling you. You're gonna have to look it up.
No, I don't remember names. Maybe. What does it start with?
Nope.
What does it start with?
We're moving on.
Well, not that I'm gonna be stuck on that.
It's the Cantina.
Called. If you had said the C, I would have known. Thank you. I had a poor memory. I'm old. I remember that.
I love that.
I hate that little blue guy though. I mean, haunted my nightmares.
I know. He's not even scary? He's so cute.
He's
Everybody
terrifying.
loves the little elephant guy.
He's terrifying. He's not a little elephant.
He's playing.
He looks like an anteater.
He's got the little.
He's got moves.
Keyboards and everything like
ugly.
that. He's vibing. No.
Sorry. Okay. Whatever.
All right.
So they're back on Earth.
Nah.
A couple miles away from Alex's trailer park.
Yeah, no, they're not there yet.
Oh.
We then cut to the frontier where Zur and the Kodan are planning their attack.
This gave me major Star Wars vibes, because this is the same thing with oh my gosh. When the stormtroopers are in that room, the red ones.
The red stormtroopers?
Yeah.
Are you talking about the Imperial troopers?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Sorry. But that's what they looked like. And they were flying, and that's what it looked like, that whole thing. And you get like Darth Vader as, Zur.
All right.
And he was coming in angry.
I feel you on that.
I feel like you aren't feeling me on that.
I mean, I don't remember him really interacting with the Imperial Star Troopers.
They were, yeah. They were all angry that, like, oh, you're in charge now? We gotta listen to you?
Are you confusing with Darth Vader with
the
new one with Kylo Ren?
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, man.
No.
No?
Because but not the Imperial Stormtroopers per se in that one,
Okay.
but still thing with the Stormtroopers. The Imperial Stormtroopers looked like those guys that were in that room.
Okay,
However,
I got
the situation
you.
was like
so you're
that.
saying this, okay.
Either way, it's still Star Wars
You're
vibes.
freaking me out, man, because I'm like, that's...
It's not my fault you're old and can't put things together.
Oh, I'm just slow. I guess it's just me. Zur gets this pretty wicked-looking scepter thing delivered to him.
That was so lame.
I guess it's...
It was so lame. He pulls it out, and he tries to be intimidating with it, and it grows like 2 inches
It goes
more.
shing! And it like a big needle-looking thing pops. I guess it's very important that he has that.
It was really ugly.
It's real that the Kodans are using Zur as a pawn, having him think that he is the commander. I mean, that's like they literally talk about like, why do we have to put up with this?
Yeah.
They're using him so that they can get through the frontier, so that they can figure out how to get
find the base
and stuff like that. I mean, that's so they're, oh yeah, okay, you're the commander. Sorry. The ship has been working on getting through the frontier, the commander ship, or command ship. And they break through and fire bombs at the Starfighter base. And unfortunately, there's a traitor. And the traitor is the guy that Centauri was paying money with. It's the same exact
Was it
guy.
him? I thought that was the guy who gave Alex the clothes.
That's the same guy. All right.
There were two guys. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it was the same guy because they have that same mackerel face. But
That's why I thought it was the guy dealing with Alex. That's why he kind of looked like fed up with his job. And he's kind of like, I hate it here. Why am I doing
got you.
this?
Maybe I'm just confused on that then.
Everybody looked alike there.
They all did. They were all domehead. But yeah, he sets an explosive which disables the defenses. So the base is basically destroyed, leaving them defenseless against the Kudan.
I liked
invasion.
that it blew up like that one center part, but like the sides of it were still fine.
Yeah.
Like they were like, it was like if you sliced a cake perfectly and just took out that one part and the sides weren't damaged at all.
Right.
It was just the one part's gone.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, when we get back to that scene, all the good important people were fine.
Luckily.
Yeah.
It is, however, revealed that one Starfighter did escape, which would be Alex. We cut to Alex and Centauri back on Earth, and the car is broken down, which I thought was weird. Alex decides to walk home. Centauri gives him a transmitter to use in the event that he changes his mind about being a Starfighter.
Yeah, I liked that he was under the car. He kind of like waved by with his foot. He was like,
yeah,
like waved it. Yeah. He was all like, "Save the whales, but not the universe."
He's always got little one-liners that he's save the whales. Back at the trailer park, Alec runs into Maggie, and she smacks him up. She's like, "Your weird sexual urges." In his room, Alex runs into Beta, who explained that he's there to take Alex's place as a courtesy replacement while Alex is away.
Yeah. He's still very calm about the whole thing, too.
Yes. I like this part because Lewis is like, "Quiet, Alex," and they're both like, "Sorry, Lewis."
Or then when Alex is like leaving, and he's like, "Go back to sleep, Lewis, or else I'm telling Mom about your Playboys." And then Beta says the same thing.
He says, "I said go back to sleep." And he's like, "Huh?" What the shit?
Yeah.
Oh man, I love that. That part is great. We then see a stranger wander into the park, and he looks at the Starfighter game that causes his disguise as a human to disappear, and he has a horrible alien face.
Yeah.
Alien. I mean, his eyes are weird. His mouth is above where his eyes should be. He's pretty wonky.
He looks like he smells like egg.
Which is really funny because that's what they do. They smell them.
Yeah.
They can, like later, they're all, "It smells like," it's like, what does this thing smell like? Alex goes to contact Centauri to take Beta away. He says, "Take away your talking toy." And the game is malfunctioning. He thinks it's Centauri because I think he hears like somebody say "Greetings, Starfighter" or something like that.
The game does.
Okay.
Yeah, the game's going off and saying weird things.
But the alien attacks him.
Yeah.
And apparently these things love to attack from above because he does it twice. He attacks through the wood and then he's up on the ceiling and he like kicks gravel off on him both times. Like he's like dribble.
Oh, he was spitting on him. It was drool.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I thought this scene was kind of funny because Alex, like, the thing he grabs is a wooden stick. Not a stick, but one of those like planks. It was a plank. He grabs a plank. Yeah, good luck killing a person with a plank, especially a person with the lasers. I mean, what are you gonna do with the stick?
Beat him to death?
I guess if you can get that close enough, but those lasers were pretty intense.
Nice. So Beta comes out and almost gets shot at that point in time. Centauri shows up and blows the arm off the alien, and then gets shot. Oh, I'm sorry, and the alien then gets shot and is assumably dead. Centauri tells Alex that they are a Zandazan, is what he calls it, and that they are alien hitmen or bounty hunters that are hired to kill Alex by Zur. So Beta and Centauri tell Alex that his best shot is to return to fight in a Gunstar instead of one on Earth where he's going to probably be killed. Unfortunately, the alien is not quite dead and takes another shot at Alex, but Centauri jumps in front of him and takes the hit. So that's when he gets shot.
Yeah.
Alex does decide to return with Centauri, However, when they get to the Starfighter command, they see it's almost completely destroyed, minus the two sides of it.
I like that that Alex, before leaving, told Beta, he was like, make sure you fix the thing with Maggie. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he's
Yeah, I thought that was really funny. And Beta's like, man, I gotta do all this. Because he had more emotions to him than Alex did this whole time.
And then they're like, they're probably going to keep trying to kill you. And then Beta, that's what Beta's for. And he's like, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, he's like, oh.
They do land in the star station, and they run into Grig, who takes Centauri away, and he looks to be mortally wounded and die.
Yeah, this was stupid because he was talking to him, and he kind of like smiles or something. He's kind of like, blah, and as he dies, he's got the face, he's all, and then just falls forward. And I'm
right.
I was kind of like, that wasn't even kind of. I mean, he could have just like passed away.
Well, I mean, he just kind of.
But he just no, it was like.
All right.
I don't know, dude. It was better than having them just disappear and become nothing.
Gotcha.
Like Star Wars.
How dare you? Don't you badmouth Star Wars? We will not have.
I don't like the way they go into the Force.
When they are complete and they've completed their life cycle as a whatever being they are, they fade away, and it's a beautiful thing, and we will not talk badly about that.
I always talk badly about that.
Watching those movies with Beth, somebody's about to die, and Beth says, "Oh my God, if they fade away, I swear to God."
And what do?
And they
fade away. The first time we watched that, we were sitting there on the couch, and he just disappeared. And I looked at you. What? What happened? You're like, just watch the movie. And then the movie ended. I was like, wait, what? Because he doesn't even get hurt.
No, he just fades
away.
That's the beauty of it. It's like old ships in the Navy; they just fade away.
I hated that so much. Whatever. I'm so mad.
All right.
I'm teary-eyed.
So, back on Earth, Beta is not doing so hot, being freaked out by a moth. He wakes up and he's like, blah, 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 blah. So he takes off his head to work on his hearing, and Lewis wakes up and sees that Beta's head is off. He doesn't go back to sleep.
When Centauri died, and it was funny because I was like, oh, well, I guess Alex is on the way home now. He's not going back to Earth.
Right, that's true.
And then it shows Earth, and then Beta took off his head and was like messing around with it, and they turn around, and poor Lewis, he's like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, he does. He's all looking through, and he's like, Lewis! At that time, while he's working on his head, Beta sees what looks to be another ship coming to attack him, and he's all, great. Then we go back up. They're doing a lot of back and forth to kind of keep the story of what's happening in the star, back in Starlight Starbright, as well as what's going on with Alex on the planet. So
yeah, I like that.
Yeah, Greg and Alex are suited up, and they board the prototype Gunstar ship, which I thought was pretty cool. And that's Greg's excuse of why he didn't get blown up, why he wasn't in the other section. He says he was checking the new prototype weapon. So that's why he wasn't with the other ones, which I thought, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
I did like that.
Alex realizes that the controls are just like the video game, except there's the emergency weapon that Greg tells him not to touch. So that's what he was working on. They did discuss how Alex is the last Starfighter left, and that the others were blown up, and they launch out of the tube. He's like, so how many are left? Oh, one. You. And then they launch.
Yeah.
Alex realizes it will be his one ship against the Armada. And he
kind of freaked out a little bit about that. He was kind of like really nervous, which I was kind of like, it just seems exactly like the video game. I don't know. I don't think I would have been that freaked out over that. I mean, freaked out in the aspect of like, okay, this is happening.
Right.
But also, like, he was like, he beat the game. And this is exactly the game.
But this is real life, though. I mean,
I don't know, still, like, I don't know. To finally show emotion in it being like this.
So Alex does some practice shots and gets the feel for the chair and the ship. While back home, Beta is filling his shoes and attempting to help Otis with maintenance. He keeps dropping the thing on him. Alex! Maggie interrupts and apologizes for being mad for having smacked him the night before. She does invite him to go back to the Lake Silver Lake, I think is what
Silver
it is,
Lake.
with her later that night. So we then see that there is another alien who's watching Beta, another one of the Xandaran things,
Who isn't in a human mask yet.
Not yet. Nope.
So I thought that was pretty interesting.
So Greg tells Alex of how Zur plans to attack as he comes up with a plan on how to defeat them. A Zurian ship comes out of nowhere and Alex gets to do a live fight, which he wins, which was pretty cool. Once again, this is demonstration of the CGI for the time, which was groundbreaking. I mean,
I thought it was kind of, again, to talk back about how it seemed like he was actually like living the video game.
Yeah.
I thought this was kind of like, oh, round one, here you go.
Right, the basics.
Right.
He's
going
literally
to the cave and everything.
First he goes through the dummies, the practice shots. Then he's going through the cave. Then he's chasing this guy. And then it's working you up through the levels.
Yeah, which I thought was nice.
Yeah, that's cool.
Definitely
cool. Alex is not thrilled with how it went though.
No.
So Greg says, "All right, I'll take you back home."
Yeah, I thought this was kind of funny because Greg says, he mentions there's like, oh, it's your first live target. And he's like, live? So it was kind of like he had a moral fight with himself where he's like, am I going to kill somebody? Is this what it is? I'm killing people?
I gotcha.
But he doesn't really go much into that.
No.
He's just like, fire, Alex, fire. So he fires and kills him. And the later he just doesn't care anymore.
Right.
But he does, Greg mentions, he's like, it's like he was going to take him home. But he doesn't really. They just keep going on.
It's very delayed.
Yeah.
And he says, all right, well, I'll take you home.
But then he just turns around.
I think that time, because he's in the rock thing, or whatever that thing is, that's floating around.
Asteroid.
I think that time seems to be more because they keep going back and forth between Earth and this scene. So I think it seems to be a little bit more dragged out than what is supposed to actually be happening in between time. That's the way that I looked at it. Back on Earth, Beta is out with Maggie and the gang, and he's completely socially awkward.
It's so funny to me because soon she's like, "Well, if I were you, I would be laughing and enjoying myself," and then he starts laughing like a psychopath.
And they're all looking at him like,
"Why did you invite this loser?" Yeah, it's so funny.
A cop is about to pull them over, but then the alien hitman gets him and takes his identity.
Which was really weird.
It was
definitely
he
strange.
absorbed them.
Yeah.
He then tracks them to the lake where he learns that truth about Beta. He shoots Beta and he tries to escape. So Maggie jumps into the truck when Beta does.
Beta had told Maggie, he was like, Alex is in space fighting people. I'm Beta Alex. And
yeah,
and then he's like, see? As he's like leaking from his stomach.
Yeah, he's trying to be Alex, but clearly it's just not doing well with Maggie, so he finally just comes out with it. And he's just like, look, I'm Beta Alex. And this is how it is. And he says, you see? He gets shot.
Doesn't he ask her, he's like, can I put my tongue in your ear now?
And that's what he says. Well, that's because the night before, I guess, she had done that to him, and he was like,
weird sexual urges. Yeah. So I thought that was funny.
Weird sexual urges. So yeah, Beta's gonna go after him in the truck. Maggie jumps in. She's like, "You're not going anywhere without me." We then return to the frontier where Zur and the Armada are invading. They've actually got a hole big enough through the frontier to where the Armada can fit through. Alex and Greg hide out while the Armada passes. And then back on Earth, Beta and Maggie are just in time to stop the full transmission because that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to stop the hitman alien or bounty hunter, however you want to say it, from transmitting that the last Starfighter was still alive.
Yeah, and not on Earth.
Right.
Because he would have told him.
Right, which was good that they thought he was on Earth, because
they weren't, yeah.
That way he's not bothering them. So Beta decides, he says, "Yo, you owe me, Alex." And he goes ahead and he makes Maggie jump out of the truck. And then he crashes the truck into the ship, sacrificing himself, but ending the transmission before it ends fully. So, which was kind of sad.
R.I.P. Beta Alex.
Yeah, Beta Alex was...
definitely seemed like he had sentience.
Right. And yes. And I did like that they were like, well, Why don't they just let you fight? And they're like, oh yeah, we're not allowed to fight.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's so sad that you have a lot in life that you're not allowed to.
You're basically a human target.
Yeah, that's your point.
Robot target. So
you're a beta.
It's really, because he definitely seemed like he had a personality outside of Alex.
Right.
I mean, it's not like he had all of Alex's memories. He just knew things.
Right. He existed, plus he existed as Alex.
Yeah. And I thought it was just really sad. He just seemed like somebody else.
Yeah.
That would be a really cool, like, idea, like a cool book idea or something, where you have people who are, their only job is to be a copy of somebody else, but they are their own person.
There is.
I mean, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure, but I'm just saying that's a cool concept.
I think. Oh gosh, what was the name of that? Was that called The Island? Where they were making clones of people, like you would get sick in real Earth, and you could make a clone of yourself so that you could harvest their organs. Like if you had burnt up your liver, or if you wanted to have a baby but you couldn't have a baby. I think it's called The Island. It had Obi-Wan Kenobi in it.
Oh, good. Maybe that's where he went after he disappeared.
How dare you? Not that Obi-Wan, newer Obi-Wan. Ewan McGregor was in it, and I think. I can't think of the one that Black Widow is in it.
Oh, yes. I don't know her name either, but I know you're talking about.
I can't think of her name offhand. But that's kind of what they did. But I mean, so they're not droids per se, but they're clones.
Still a really cool concept.
AI was kind of like that too, where it was a really sad movie where you had these artificial intelligent type sentient beings, and her son is all jacked up. Something happens to him. He's really sick. So they get this little robot boy, David, they call him, I think is his name. And you're never supposed to say these certain words to him in a certain order. Otherwise he'll become bonded to you. And at first she's like, I don't want this. But then she falls in love with it. So she says it. So he becomes bonded to her. And then her son gets better.
Oh.
So they basically are just like, ditch him out. It's a horrible movie.
Detroit Become Human is like that as well. They have the robot servants, but then they become sentients. They go against their coding, and they're all like, okay, well, I'm alive as well, and I'm here, and they fight against the people. So, I mean, I guess it's more of a concept than I thought at first, but anyways.
So, back in space. Alex and Grig prepare to attack from behind. Alex had come up with an idea and said, if we did it this way, then we would be able to take out the turret, and then it would be a surprise attack. And Grig is like, okay, that would be really good if somebody was actually, here to do so. A starfighter. So
I guess this goes into what he was taking him home, and then Zurg showed up, and so they hid.
Right.
But then this happened, and then he goes in. Right, okay.
Right. They do come into... So they decided to go ahead and go with the plan.
Yeah.
Because he comes out and he takes on 2 ships, and he's like, all right, fine, I'll do the plan. But then they come into radar range and are picked up by the fleet, and the Kodan have no more time for Zur. They're like, we're done with you. So they have him seized and taken away. Alex is able to hit the turret and does significant damage to the ship. And this is where Zur actually uses the attack that Alex and them are doing to escape. And he knocks off the helmet of one of the Kudans, revealing they're like snail beings. Like the eyes pop up, they're like... It's horrible. I'm like, oh my gosh, don't ever... No, please.
Put it back on.
Please, put that back on, because I don't ever want to see that happen again. Zur does escape in an escape pod, and I guess they left him escaping in the event that they wanted to do maybe a sequel or something like that. I thought it was interesting that he escaped. That they did that. In order to take out the Armada, Alex decides to use the Death Blossom secret weapon. That's the one that wasn't in the video game, but is on the prototype ship.
I thought that was horrible. In a sense of like, I have extreme motion sickness. Like me even turning around once, like spinning in a circle once, makes me feel like I'm gonna throw up. So this whole thing, I was like, I would not have survived. I would have died, because he starts spinning violently, and like the ship spinning and his chair spinning all at the same time.
Yes.
I would have thrown up everywhere.
Yeah, he first attacks with his lasers. And he takes them out quite efficiently. Then he runs out of ammo. And he launches the Death Blossom,
Yeah.
which destroys the remaining ship. So he basically takes out the entire armada, which is pretty cool. But yeah, that scene right there where he's flipping around and everything like that. When I went to space camp as a kid, they have that chair that's a zero gravity chair type deal. And that's what it reminded me. That scene right there where you're just like flipping it left and right and around and circle and everything like that.
Yeah, I would have
It's
thrown
like,
up.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
pooed a little too.
And pooed.
Yeah.
So all that's left is the command ship now. So the command ship is actually going to ram them. That's what they decided. Like, our weapons are all down. He's like, that's fine, ramming speed. But Grig is able to get power restored just in time for them to get out of the way.
Because he takes from the life support.
Yeah, he says, this is our life support's all we have power from. He's like, I don't care. We're about to get rammed out. We better do something.
Yeah.
Alex takes several more shots at the command ship, taking it out, and it crashes into a moon and blows up. I don't think it's our moon per se. I think it's
No.
just a moon.
When it's Saturn's moon, I believe. Because isn't that where it takes place? They go, well, at least at the beginning they were driving past Saturn.
I don't know. It's
think-
pretty far out there.
I think it was one of Saturn's moons.
It's close enough to take a space car to. So sure,
Yeah.
it's one of Saturn's moons.
I think that's what it was.
It's Io. I don't know if that's a Saturn moon, but I think it's a Jupiter moon.
They shown, well, Saturn's the one with the rings around it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
showed that in the beginning.
Yeah. I don't know. Alex and Grig are congratulated by the ambassador on Rylos. The ambassador requests that Alex help restore the Starfighter Legion. And he says, with the help of an old friend. And so one of the little aliens comes out of the way and puts his face on it, and it's Centauri.
Yeah. I was like, oh.
He said,
Great.
I wasn't dead. I was just regenerating.
Yeah, I was in hibernation.
Yeah. And I thought this whole thing was weird because I still don't understand if they have a standing force armada of starfighters, or if they only recruit starfighters as they're needed, or I still don't quite understand. Maybe that was what part 2 was going to be, was going to be him rebuilding the Starfighter Legion and Zerg comes back in some way, shape, or form. Who knows?
Yeah.
We then return back to Earth, where everyone is looking for Alex. The wind starts blowing, and Alex lands the Star Gunner. Lewis is excited because he thinks they're being invaded.
He's like, woo, all right, we're being invaded.
Right. I also like how Granny has a shotgun.
Yeah, that was funny. He was like, put down the shotgun, Granny.
Yeah. Grig comes down and says hi to everyone, and apparently he speaks English. And I say that because not everybody has
The translator.
yeah. So he could understand them.
I liked, there was a scene before where he was showing Alex his, like, wife and his kids. And it was that weird, like, photo book, like, it was going through it real fast.
Yeah.
Like, but he's like, yeah, they're slaves now. And it's just not touched on again. Like,
an Easter egg of that, he also posed for that photo of his wife. That's the same act. It is the same exact
I
acting.
figured it was so funny. They was like, that's so, that looks exactly
She's
the
got
same.
a bow on, I think. She's standing there, she's all, woo! Just,
No hair, just reptile.
yes. And he's like, oh, this reminds me of home when they're in the cave. And he's like, yeah, we live in the ground. And she's like, well, we have caves on wheels that don't go anywhere. And he's
They're
like,
slaves now.
yeah, oh, yeah, they're slaves now. So I joined this to try.
Yeah.
Well,
But anyways.
That's fun. Yeah. So, oh, where was I here? My bad.
He's got the shotgun.
Yeah.
He's talking English.
So Grig, yeah, right, exactly. Grig tells them that Alex saved the Earth and a bunch of other planets, basically like the galaxy.
Yeah.
So Alex states
Hyping
that,
him up
yeah,
in front of his lady.
right. He's awesome. Alex states that he came to say goodbye to everybody and to ask Maggie to come back with him.
Because it's better than City College.
Right, absolutely. And I like how everybody's just kind of accepting of it.
Yeah.
Like, what is all this? You know, the mom's
You
just,
can see
"What
where
is
he
all
gets
this?"
his emotions from.
Right.
Because they're all like, oh, there's aliens from the sky. No, this is okay. It's Alex.
It
Ah,
kind of...
there's a reptile man talking to me.
This kind of gave me a Rick and Morty feeling.
Yeah.
And let me explain why. Because they now know that there's aliens. On this other planet, on the other Ryland, on the other planet, he's basically now a superstar. He's going to have a great life.
Yeah.
Take your mom and your brother. take him, let him go live a really good life on another planet or something like that. You're gonna leave him in the crappy trailer park where she's got to work crap hours and stuff like that. I mean, I just kind of felt I was thinking back on that when I was watching it today. I was like, so he's just like, oh yeah, I gotta go, but
There's only room for me, Greg, and Maggie if she wants to come.
I did also like that during that time he was talking about how Greg was saying, "Hey, we got to hurry because we're jamming their radars, but it's not going to last much longer," which made me say, that's cool that they took into account, because I was like, well, how come they weren't notified or noticed or anything like that?
Yeah.
And they kind of threw that in there. And he's yelling up the whole time, "Hurry!"
Yeah.
So at first Maggie does refuse. But then she's like,
what about Granny?
Yeah, again,
Still
what about
worried
Granny?
about Granny.
But she looks at Granny and Granny says, right, or whatever they do up there. And then as he's on the platform raising, she goes and jumps up with him. So we leave out on Lewis returning to the Starfighter game, which is now working as if he's going to take up the fight.
Yeah.
And that's basically how it ends up. So what are your closing thoughts on that?
It was an okay movie, pretty interesting. Really just gave me Star Wars vibes, so I really liked it. Was really entertained. Alex as the main character was kind of, it was Alex and his bad responses to things, but
who was your favorite character?
definitely Lewis.
Lewis was your favorite character.
Yeah.
A bit of an Easter egg. Did you notice when he's laughing crazy in the back of the truck, his hair looked really weird?
It did.
It was a wig.
Yeah, it looked like a wig.
It was a wig because he had already cut his hair. I guess they filmed this after. It was a post-production scene that they added in. And he had already cut his hair for another movie. So they put a wig on him. They shouldn't have.
Poor Beta Alex.
Beta Alex looked... I was like, why is his hair like that? Oh. Even as a kid, I remember his hair looking weird. And I thought, well, maybe it's just because he's Beta Alex and he just looks weird.
That's what I thought.
Would you recommend this movie to a friend?
Definitely would.
That's cool, man. I'm glad you liked this one. I was kind of afraid. I was kind of like, I don't know. It's a space movie. I don't know where she's going to be with it.
I liked it. Space fantasy, it's not my favorite genre. It's definitely one of those ones that I really have to want to watch it. Just because it's more nerdy than anything else. It's stuff that you just have to be able to understand.
I got you.
So for me, it's hard because there's like the names are hard to remember. And it's all just so much going on. So for me, it's just more of a paying attention type thing.
I got you.
But I did really like it. I did. Who was your favorite character?
My favorite character is Centauri. I think he's funny because of his one-liners, his quick wit, his quick speaking, how he does. He's just who he represents in the movie. Alex's freedom and everything like that. I just really liked that character, and I liked it when he brought him back. Like you said, save the whales, but don't save the universe. Stuff like that to me is funny. I like that he lived. I like that he was an alien and that he wasn't just human. That he hid as being human. Yeah, it made me wonder how long he had been on Earth. Right, and now this is something I wanted to bring up as well. I don't think long, and I don't think that the game had been there long. I think that it was quick. I think he was sending these arcades. I think it was a new thing for him that he thought, oh, you know what? I've tried all these other planets. Let me try this planet. And so he sent down an arcade that he created. Right, but and it was new. I don't think it had been there that long. Wanting you to have gone to Vegas, you would have had to have been there and known that Vegas is a popular place. Right. Because you could have been like, oh, send it to New York. There's a lot of people there. Maybe maybe it's his vacation spot. He vibes out on Earth. I suppose. I don't know. I thought it was interesting. I'm glad that, yeah. Who was your least favorite character? My least favorite character... Maggie? Yeah, I said Maggie as well. Just because I feel like she's, I don't want to say holding him back. Definitely holding him back. But that's what it seems like. Like he would give up his dreams to stay for Maggie. Yeah. and stay living in that menial.
He definitely wasn't. He was leaving.
Right.
Yeah.
And I like that at that point in time that he had found, like, he realized, I think, taking on the battle like he did, there's something bigger and it's what he wants. And I'm sorry, I don't know when I'll be back. I'll be back.
It definitely gave me, the ending of the movie definitely gave me Guardians of the Galaxy vibes. Because he goes off from as a kid and he stays with one dude and he leaves, and that's just his life. I mean, even if in, I want to say not in game, but the one before in game where they're all together, he runs into Tony Stark and Spider-Man, and they're like, "Oh, you're from Earth. Do you know what this is?" And he's like, "What? What's that?" Because he just been there as a kid, so he didn't know that everything had changed.
Right.
So I thought it was interesting to show how it was kind of more. It was like that, except Alex had been on Earth longer, so he still would have known a lot of Earth things, but he was brand new to the whole space thing.
Right. You know what's kind of odd about that is that's about the same year that Star-Lord would have been taken, 1984. It was about that time. I can't remember exactly when, but it was around that time.
Yep. That's funny.
Yeah. Just weird.
What was your favorite scene?
My favorite scene is probably one dealing with Lewis, with the head off.
That's what mine was. What the
shit? He's just, that kid made me laugh.
Go back to sleep, Lewis.
And he's just like keeps yelling at him. And I mean, could you imagine this situation where now you've got two brothers for some reason, and now his head's off. Now this, I mean, it just keeps happening weird, and the kid's face is just like.
Yeah. Yeah.
How many moves? 0 to 5. How many moves do you give it?
Before that, actually, I just realized something.
Oh.
At the very beginning of the movie, when Lewis is first introduced, he's running out of the house in a space. He has a astronaut helmet on.
Yes, he does.
I wonder, because he shared the same room as Alex, if he was the one who liked space more, and that's why all that space stuff was there.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe Alex just wanted to do something bigger with himself.
Right.
And so maybe that's what it was.
Alex wanted to do whatever got him out of there.
Yeah.
Because he literally was just a do-boy for all of those people. I mean, what a crappy life. First, you're living in a trailer park. Yeah. No offense to people who live in trailer parks. But that wasn't a very nice place to live. Where people are literally, they can reach their hand outside of their window and have their hand in your living room. Yeah. I mean, those places, they were close.
If you live in a trailer park, email us and tell us about your trailer park experience.
Please do, yes.
I love if it's worth it, if you have a good time.
You can email us at theyesyourpodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what it's like to live in a trailer park, because we do not know, and I don't want to knock something.
Yeah, I gave the trailer, my impression rating, a 2. However, at the end of the movie, my moo rating was a 3 out of 5.
That's not bad. A 3 out of 5 is, I'm sorry, 3.
3 out of 5.
A solid 3?
Yeah.
I gave The Last Starfighter a 4.
Yeah.
Which, it's not the best movie. It's not the worst movie.
I would have given it more points if the acting was just slightly better. I mean, of course, with the time, you get what you're given. But, I mean, when you have movies like Beetlejuice that came around at the same time, and the acting in that movie was phenomenal. I mean, it was really good. Everything was, he responded to the scene properly. Alex just didn't. There was just stuff that happened, and he was just kind of, it was like a reality TV show. People were going to pop out and be like, "Oh, you're just dreaming."
He was very nonchalant.
It was really, yeah.
The only thing that I give to that is that he held that was his character the entire time. Yeah. He was very nonchalant. He was very go with the flow-ish. I mean,
that's fair.
He didn't go to the, I'm not going to go to the lake. I'm going to stay here and work. I don't want to, but he doesn't have a reaction. The biggest reaction I think he has, well, 2 of them, when he gets the letter and he goes out and throws it and he's like disappointed. And then when they're launching and he's like freaking out that he's the last Starfighter, like those seem to be the only times that he really has serious emotion.
Yeah. I suppose that's, still, again, to put yourself, because you always want to relate somehow to the main character. You want it to be relatable. To put yourself in his shoes, I, myself, would have been freaking out the entire time. I wouldn't have gotten in the car in the first place. I would have been like, you know what? I shouldn't be out the trailer park this late. I'm going to go home. You have a good night, sir.
Right.
Right. Let somebody else take their hand at this kind of thing. So what if the world's going to end? I don't care. Good. Burger King or not, I'm going home.
I don't know. It depends on how hungry you are.
That's fair. If I'm hungry enough.
Oh, man. Some trivia about the movie.
Ooh, trivia.
The computer graphics for the film were rendered by a company called Digital Productions.
They did their best.
The company created 27 minutes of effects film for the film, which at this time was considered enormous. Like that was just more than anybody else had done. I think it's even more than Tron. At the end of the film, a game for the Atari was promised, but it was never released. So in the trailer, it says coming soon or something like that, or a game will be on Atari, but it never came.
That's what my question was that after, either if the game had already existed and the movie was based off the game, or if after they were going to release it, and it would be one of those things where it's like, try your hand at it, and if you win, you get to go to space, something like, you know what I mean? Like something like that. And I mean, as a kid, I would have been like, oh, I got to get that game.
I got to get the game.
I got to be that guy.
Absolutely.
It's going to be me. You know, me and Suburbs gonna play the game and be taken off into a spaceship somewhere.
Yeah, no, it was supposed to, but it never came out.
Be a good way to kidnap kids.
It would be. You're like, hey, you play Starfighter? Yes.
Get in my car here.
You like Big Macs? Yes. That's win-win for me. You got me, old man. You got me. Did you get picked up again? Yeah. Sorry.
He fed me, though.
He fed me and said I was going to be a starfighter. The star car that Centauri drives is based on the DeLorean, with the way they wanted it with the wings and everything like that looking kind of thing, with the way the doors open. The voice in the Starfighter game is done by Robert Preston, the actor who played Centauri. Oh. So that makes sense that he says he created it and he is the one who speaks in it. So I thought that was pretty cool because it just kind of went along with the story. And then a brief thing, Robin Williams was offered the role of Zur, but passed.
That would have been great.
It would have been weird.
It would have been weird, but I think he would have done it well.
I could see him doing it well, but I don't think it's a big enough part, even at that point in time in Robin Williams' career for Robin Williams. I think that it was probably smart for him to pass, but that would have been, it would have been show stealing.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have been appropriate level. I mean, like, the genie in Aladdin is a huge character, but with Robin Williams being the voice of Aladdin, I mean, of the genie in Aladdin, man, I mean, he made that film with his quips, his quick speaking and all of that kind of stuff. I learned a lot about Robin Williams on another podcast this week when I was listening to The Tragedy of Cinema, just to throw them out there again, and about Superman the movie. And Robin Williams was one of Christopher Reeve, who played Superman in Superman the movie, his really like friends. I think they were even roommates in college and went to Juilliard, I think, or something like that.
Oh wow.
And when Superman got hurt, Christopher Reeves got crippled and everything like that, Robin Williams went there and like made him laugh. He acted like he was a Russian doctor and did all kinds of stuff for him to make him laugh. And that's how Christopher Reeve knew it was going to be okay, because he could laugh again. And I think that that's really, really interesting. I really feel that Robin Williams kind of got the bad end of the stick with mental illness and everything like that.
Yeah,
just throw that out.
For real.
Anyway, so we'll end on that bad note. No. Do you have anything else that you would like to add?
I'm kind of sad they didn't make it a real game.
Yeah,
I mean, that would have been. I mean, it looked like a really fun game.
It was in the prime too, man. Yeah. I mean, this was like the prime.
I think that would have been a really good way to make more money. Would have been to release that.
Me too.
I remember when I finished the movie, I was thinking a lot about that. It would have been a good way to have done that, is to make it so that the last level is like impossible to beat. So like no one ever wins.
Oh yeah.
Kind of should signify that, in that sense.
To throw that out there real fast, there was a video game that was on the Atari that supposedly if you beat it, you won something. There were a couple that did that. My sister April actually did beat the game and took a Polaroid picture of the TV to try and prove that it was there or whatever, but the picture didn't come out. Like, it wouldn't take, because of the flash on it and everything like that.
Yeah.
Like, it wouldn't take a picture of the screen, so she couldn't. So she ended up turning it off. That's true. That's a true story. I'm going to have to ask her about that again, because I remember it happening, but I don't remember what it was.
I've seen that kind of like that instance a couple of times in movies and TV shows before, where it's like, oh, if you beat this game, you get to do this or whatever, like a free trip, or you're gonna do that. Not to go back to it, but Ready Player One, was like that. You get to the end Easter egg to beat the whole thing. You had to defeat this game, and it was a puzzle, and it wasn't playing it. It was doing something else it was still in the game, but it was like something else with it. And that's why whenever I play games, I try to like I'm not one like I play the game. I'm not one who like searches for a deeper meaning within the game, but stuff like that always interests me. You're like, oh, hold on, give me a second. I'm gonna get out the controller. Up, down.
Well,
down.
hold up though. Remember in Left 4 Dead 2, Noam Chomsky?
Oh yeah, where you had to carry
the gnome all the way back. I love Noam Chomsky.
I remember that. I believe that's the same level where you're in that circuit.
It is.
Circus.
Yep.
There was that peanut, and I want to say Tabby was the one who always shot the peanut up, and it made me really sad. I was like, I really like the peanut, and then she'd shoot it up, and I'd be like, oh, I don't want to play anymore. Kill the peanut. I had to carry the day. I was all the ones who got stuck carrying the gnome too.
Yeah, stupid.
I couldn't defend myself. I would drop it somewhere, and then we'd get to the end of the game, and they'd be like, "Where's the gnome?"
Where's the gnome? I had to put him down.
I dropped him.
Oh my god, Noam Chomsky. That's the best.
I love that game.
All right. We're gonna wrap this up tonight. I do want to thank everybody for stopping by and listening to our sixth episode. We do deeply appreciate it more than you could ever know. Of course, best way to say you love us, give us a 5-star review on iTunes. We always appreciate that. Leave us a nice written review. That'd be awesome. I love to read the reviews. We've gotten more. I did not write that down, the names of the newest ones.
You meant to do that.
Fail city on me. Yes, I need to make sure and do that to thank everybody.
Did we get any emails?
No.
Write us an email. Tell us about your favorite video game.
Because
we talked about that a lot this episode.
You can email us at the yesteryearpodcast@gmail.com. Even if I know we have Facebook, and a lot of communication just happens on Facebook, which is probably why we don't get as much email, because people just post on Facebook and we respond back then. But I would love to see, write us out a nice detailed email. Hey man, you know what? This is the video game that I remember as a kid, and XYZ with it, and it changed my life. Or I remember playing this with my uncle, and he would always beat me, and then we would play the game.
Oh my gosh. Or write us and tell us if you were that kid who tried to find all the Easter eggs in the game.
Yes.
Try to cheat the code and such. I hated those kids.
Nice. Definitely, right? You're trying to just beat the game and they're off somewhere. You're like, what are you doing?
There was, not to postpone it, but the, in Left 4 Dead, the first level, No Mercy, you're on the rooftop. There is a way on the side of the street that does not progress into the game to jump down, and you get hurt, and then you have someone heal you from a certain angle, and you could jump down, and you're just running around that street. And there's no way out of it. There's no way to get out of it. We would just sit there for hours, be like, haha, we beat the game. Except we didn't. We just got stuck in an alley.
I remember. I know exactly what you're talking about.
But we were so excited when we figured that out. And we would do that so much. I remember when I got it for my computer and I was playing with my friends. I was like, "Hey guys, check this out! I can do this." And I missed, and I died, because if you missed, you died.
You die.
It was you jumped off and you just died.
Yep.
And I died, and they were like, "Great, you crippled us."
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
So I am forever that player in games that crippled their teammates.
Yep. And don't want to carry the gnome. All right. As I said, you can email us at the yesteryearpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us at twitter.com /yesteryearpcast, instagram.com @yesteryearpodcast, facebook.com /yesteryearpodcast. We do have our Facebook group. We're getting more members, which is awesome.
Yep, I saw that.
Of course, the secret question is the host name, James and Beth. Our website is yesteryearpodcast.buzzsprout.com. Our Patreon, if you'd like to support us in a financial way, which we love you if you do, and we love you if you don't. www.patreon.com /the nostalgia group. I did name that a little different just because I thought it would be cool to do so. Of course, shout out to Greg Revan, who does our music for us. And anything else from you, Matt?
Nope, that's all for me. If you leave us a review and you send us an email of it, a picture of it, we'll send you a sticker. We got our stickers in. They are pretty cool.
Yes, I have mine on my car. Other people have theirs on their car. All of the people so far have gotten theirs that have left us reviews. Except for the last two. I've got to get their information and say, hey, send this information. Or, hopefully they do.
Send us your address.
Send us your address so I can email you this. Or
Send you
so
hate
I
mail.
can mail this out. Send you hate mail. Dear sir or ma'am, here's your sticker. Boo. All right. As always, we do love you. And say goodnight, Beth.
Good night, everyone.